A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. It's 13 fucking minutes! I'm Paul Goon, and this week I'm hanging out with Orion Sword. What's up, dude?
What's up? I'm excited to do this.
Where are you from?
I grew up in a little town called Northfield, Ohio, and I currently reside in Stowe, which is like 10 minutes outside of Akron.
When did you start this project?
2021. Like every other failed musician on the planet, started fucking around during the pandemic with my phone, realized that GarageBand was actually pretty powerful, and
Shout out to GarageBand.
shout out to fucking GarageBand.
Shout out to you, Mark. Am I allowed to say your real name in this interview?
You absolutely can.
You don't have like a secret identity like a Spider-Man?
No.
Right,
No,
that would be sicker if you did, I'm just saying.
You're not wrong, but yeah. I didn't start anything during the pandemic, but like a couple months later, it got wheels turning, and then I started poking around. I was just like, can you make an album on your phone? And it turns out you can. So I did, and unlike the scientists, I was too busy concerned. I was so concerned with can you? I didn't ask if I should. And it just kind of started rolling from there. I originally did not plan on playing out live until a friend asked me, "Are you going to?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And
Somebody always has to ask. I'm usually that guy.
Typical musician with like no self-confidence whatsoever. I did not think anyone would want to see it, especially just being one guy. I kicked around maybe bringing in other musicians, and
Would you ever?
I don't like to say never, but I also like being able to at the drop of a hat, pick up and take a show if I need to. And the more people you bring in, the more complicated things get. So I'm also not actually, I don't want to drop names just yet, but I am collaborating on something with someone probably going to be released in the next year or so. That just came through today.
Oh, nice. I can't wait to hear it. Is that going to be like your first official collab, the first time you've worked with someone on this project?
Yes. Wait a minute, let me think. Told you I got memory issues. Yeah, no, this is yeah, because up until this point I was pretty militantly doing everything in house. So like all the art you see, all the mixing.
When you say militantly, was it like someone would ask you to work with them and you'd be like, no, and like karate chopping the fucking neck or something? Like what do you make it sound so like if anyone tried to enter this fortress, you were just like in kill mode. Is that what I'm
that also implies that I had people knocking down my door to work with me, and that wasn't the case either. No, it's just I wanted to see. It's a little bit of a bet with myself. Like how far can one guy with one old man with a laptop and a bass guitar can he go?
What can you win in a bet with yourself?
Nothing, which is very typical of musicians.
What does Orion's Sword sound like?
It's just a fucking mess. I get a lot of grief from people because I describe it as noisy or unlistenable.
Who gives you grief?
Friends who are just like, oh, you're too hard on yourself. You're too hard on yourself, and I'm just like, yeah, I get where you're going with this, but like literally a quarter of my sound perfect example, Who Goes There? The verse for Who Goes There is me scraping a pocket knife against the strings. That's...
Did you ever find out, in fact, who does go there?
Yes. John Carpenter.
Oh, it was him the whole time.
It was the whole time.
Why do you consider yourself a failed musician? Have you been in bands before?
Yes. It's a bit of a joke.
What bands were you in?
I was in an old grind, but really mostly noise band called WOT.
Shout out!
I moved on from that to a band called the Paper Street Soap Company, which I was told by people who were not in the band sounded like a mixture of Coalesce, Dillinger Escape Plan, and Mr. Bungle, which I really could have just ended that band right there and been happy with that particular compliment.
Before we move on too far, when you say that you moved on from that band, do you mean that you got kicked out?
No.
Okay,
what
I just had...
Yeah, no, I appreciate you checking. No. I had to kind of quit basically because I had a kid.
Okay.
And
Shout out to your kid.
Shout
out!
I love my kid.
I like the family shout outs. This is a family show. Yeah, it's important. It's important to me. What makes Orion's sword the best asterism?
I'm sorry? What is...
It's like a part of a constellation, a notable part.
It's a sword. Shout out swords.
Shout out to swords! Are there any constellations that get an honorable mention?
Scorpio.
Fuck Scorpios. Are you a Scorpio? Alright, sorry, Mark.
No, we're terrible.
Shout out Scorpios. How'd you learn how to play bass?
I think one can make the honest argument that I never did.
Shout out to one. Dude, we got a lot of good shout outs in this episode. This is going to go down in history.
I've been playing bass since my teenage years, and I didn't join a band, like I said, that first band until my 20s, and it kind of kicked off from there. But like I said, I've been fucking around since I was a teenager, mostly learning how to play Helmet songs. First song they ever taught me to play was "Jump in the Fire," and my guitar teacher, who was an actual guitar teacher, not a bass teacher, taught me it wrong. So no shout out for that guy.
Those are also some of my favorite shout outs. Family shout outs and no shout outs. We're getting the best of both worlds on this show today.
The anti-shout out.
Thank you. No fucking shout out.
And it was frustrating too because like he was teaching me the guitar part, and that's not what Burton plays underneath that. He does not go. He kind of like just plunks out, and I'm not knocking Cliff Burton at all, but he kind of just plunks out like a root note underneath it because that kind of shit's really hard to play on a bass. And because I couldn't play that, I thought I was a shitty bass player. I still do, don't get me wrong. But
what kind of bass do you play?
It is a Fender Jazz bass.
Do you have more than one? Or
I do. I have two.
So that's your main bass? The Fender Jazz?
I wouldn't say it's my main. When I was younger, I was actually in two bands. At one point in my life, I was actually in four bands at the same time.
Did you ever hear Walk a Flock of Flame? He says, I have a main bitch and a mistress. Walk a flock of flame, bitch. I'm so hood rich.
No, I've never.
Would you consider yourself hood rich by having two basses? Like
Maybe. I don't know, because they're old, and it's not like you know they're antiques or anything. One's an Ibanez and one, like I said, the Fender. Anyway, I had two basses because I was in two bands that had two different tunings, and it was easier to just leave one at one basement and one at the other basement. And I was young and had all sorts of disposable income.
Man, the good old days.
The good old days.
Oh my gosh. That's when life really mattered.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Is it easy to write a song?
Depends. Particularly Day of the Stones on the last album. I beat that fucker up for a long time. Conversely, the the sunflowers will remain long after you rot. I think I did that in like 1 4-hour session.
Okay.
It just depends.
Not to talk about myself, but one time I wrote a half of a song, and then about 5 years later, I wrote the other half of the song and put it out and performed it on stage. And it's one of the best songs I ever made. And I'm actually proud of that.
It's so, as the kids say,
Shout out
sometimes
to me.
all the shout outs for Paul.
I'll
As the
take
kids say, sometimes it be like that.
That's why I bring it up. Have you ever started a song and then maybe just put it aside, and years later, months later, even brought it back to the light and finished the song?
I do have I don't ever want to be the guy that I don't want to live the meme of having a bunch of unreleased songs saved on your hard drive. But I do have some stuff that I couldn't make work, and so it's just kind of sitting there. Hopefully this year I'll be able to put some of those to bed. But yeah, sometimes you just can't force it. And you got to just, you don't want to. Again, you don't want a hard drive full of unreleased songs, but you also don't want to, just churn shit out to churn shit out.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. How many albums have you released? 4 EPs,
2 EPs, and I think everything else has been singles.
Okay, 2 EPs and the rest are all singles. Yeah. Are you the angel with the fiery sword?
No.
Tell me about the new album.
So it's basically a musical.
The end blew me away. I wanted to start with the end.
Oh, really?
It blew me away. I mean, the whole thing. But
so basically, what it boils down to is it's a soundtrack for Carrie, the old Stephen King book.
Really?
Specifically, I did.
I already knew that, but I'm going to say really because that's what the interview's for.
Yes. I pulled samples from the most recent version of Carrie because I thought they played a little bit better. But technically, I pulled all those scenes directly from the book. Anything that I wrote music, like I said, I picked certain scenes from the book, wrote music for it as best as I can.
Does a bass need to have more than 4 strings?
No. Everything I have on is a 4-string. My running joke on that is I don't know how to play the 4 I have. Why am I going to add more to the mix?
It's a good enough joke for me. Do you change your bass strings as often as you're supposed to?
No, but I think I'm better than most.
I like to think that I'm better than most too, Mark.
You are better than most, Paul.
Thank you, dude. Picks or fingers?
Fingers.
Do you plug it in or do you play wireless?
Plug it in. I have debated going wireless, but that's money I don't have.
Shout out to money.
Shout out to capitalism.
It ruins everything.
Actually, that's another anti-shout out. Fuck capitalism.
I really like that song, Consume. I have to say it might be my favorite song of all time of yours.
Thank you.
How do you wind up writing a 14-minute song? How do you wind up making a 14-minute song is a better question. Creating.
That was the second thing I ever wrote for the project, and I kind of just, for lack of a better term, it kind of popped into my head fully formed. I wanted to tell the story of some sort of creature pushing its way into a reality somewhere in deep space and consuming a planet and then just going back to where it came from. The cover art and, like I said, and the idea for the song all popped into my head pretty much at the same time. And I think I did pretty well. The only problem with it is I technically just retold the intro to the animated Transformers movie.
That's not a problem. Who said that was a problem?
I just feel like...
The critics?
No, critics would imply that people listen to this stuff outside of me and you.
I'm listening.
I appreciate you.
I was blown away by your live performance.
Thank you so much.
I saw you live before I actually heard your music recorded. I went home later and listened to it after because I was like, well, I need to know what the comparison is, where this came from. Yeah, dude, this fireball of destruction, it's amazing. It's incredible. I never would have thought, one guy with a bass and backing tracks, I'm like, what am I about to see right now? And I get there, and it's like one of the most amazing things I've seen all fucking year. I swear to God.
Thank you so much. I was incredibly self-conscious about that, being just one guy. And actually, I posted something about it on Facebook, how I was in a metal bassist thing, and they were talking.
I'm self-conscious about my toes, in case you were wondering.
I was, and I will refrain from mentioning it for the rest of our time together.
Thank you.
basically they were shitting on guys that use tracks, and not just tracks, but like one-man bands. And I'm just like, that's a really specific thing to get angry about.
There's a lot of people that are specifically angry about a lot of specific things to get angry about, Mark.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Why do you think that is? Do you think that's also because of capitalism?
I don't think it helps the situation for sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't think capitalism helps anything.
Don't let me interrupt you again. If I do that again, just get up and smack the shit out of me.
Karate chop you?
Oh, I was expecting it by now.
I save all my violence for the stage.
Well, back to that. What can people expect from an Orion Sword show? Do you have any shows coming up?
I do. I am playing No Class this Thursday with Vanishing Kids, and I apologize if I fuck this pronunciation up. I think it's Marats.
Shout out! Shout out!
Shout out! And then I am back at the Buzzbin this Saturday for the Zombie Prom with Oblivia, Ataraxis, and formerly Candace and The Days.
A bunch of shout outs in there. And zombies are cool, so that's another shout out. Shout out to zombies!
Zombies are not bad at all.
Will Orion Sword songs ever contain lyrics?
I just wrote one that does.
When can we hear
it? Next month. Although you'll get to hear it before that because I like you.
I like when people send me music early. That's one of my favorite things in the whole world. I think honestly, people sending me music previews. Shout out to Jason from Super Corruptor who sent me one this morning. Shout out,
Jason!
They got a new song coming up that's going to sound pretty tasty for your taste buds.
Nice.
What does mono no aware mean?
I knew this when I wrote it. The stupid answer is...
You forgot it when I asked.
The stupid answer is it's the name of the Platinum Trophy from the game Ghost of Tsushima. That is what the first EP is based on. It's based on...
It's a good game. Very cool game.
I fucking love that game. It's... And that ending, oh my fucking god.
I didn't get to the end. I only played a little bit. It's very cool.
Oh, Paul. That is like Last of Us type like quality story. It's really fucking good.
I've been playing Aliens Fireteam recently. That's my new game.
I almost downloaded it this morning.
Do it.
Is it good? Because I've heard like...
So it's like the same thing over and over again, but if you're as big of an Alien fan as me again, you will play it. Because when I first started playing the game, I was like, this is the same thing over and over again, just in different settings. Like, I can't play this. And then I keep playing it. So, like I said, if you're a big Aliens fan, yes, you will play the game.
I mean, you're killing xenomorphs. It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, well, yeah, the action of the game is good.
Yeah.
So, it's good enough for me, apparently. I don't know, it doesn't take much.
Yeah, I play a shit ton of video games. So, that's PS5 or PS4?
PS4.
Okay.
I like to wait till...
Until everything's
on Plus?
Plus?
These new systems cost about $100. Once I can buy them for about $100 from the exchange, that's when I know they're ready for me.
I sympathize. Gaming is such a huge thing between me and my wife that like we'll actually spend the money on it. Actually, usually our weekends go as we once she gets up and we get some food and us if we're not doing anything, we'll sit down and play a game called Helldivers, and we do that for a couple hours.
Never heard of that one before. Helldivers. What is that game?
It's a twin stick shooter. It's a little bit like Alien, but it's a twin stick shooter. There's 3 races. It's almost like Starship Troopers the game. You go to other planets, shoot the shit out of some aliens.
Are there any racists among the 3 races?
I mean, it's
with only 3 races. Is it possible?
I mean, you can make the argument that the Helldivers are the racists because it's very much a satire on managed democracy and capitalism.
Do you think that they want to live in peace?
I think they would be interested in leaving us the hell alone. The fact of the matter is that we don't leave people alone. So.
You know, someone told me that when I was a little kid. They said that if our government would have stayed out of everyone else's business a long time ago, we would be okay right now.
We would certainly be I think we'd be in a better spot.
This isn't a show about politics. Who are some of your favorite local bands?
My God. You're asking me to pick my favorite child. There's so many good ones. That is the one thing I've seen coming back into this.
I'll let you give me 4.5.
4.
Four and a
okay.
half.
Shout out Radiant.
Shout out.
Shout out Super Corruptor.
Shout out.
Shout out Megaton Communion.
Shout out. Oh, dude, you know what? Joe, him and his son were on this show in my old house with our old band called, man.
The Grind Band?
Yeah, what was that band called?
I don't remember.
About the beer. Why is it escaping my name right now? They were on my show.
That's funny. Yeah.
Fermentation.
Yes.
It's been a little while since I've heard anything from them. Shout out to Fermentation. Shout out to Joe. Shout out to Gavin. Shout out to Megaton Communion. I just got all excited.
No, it's the Megaton Communion.
What was that? Was that 3?
That was 3.
Or you got 1.5 more.
1.5 more.
Yeah,
Night Goat.
don't cheat at the end. Shout out.
And Arctur.
Or that was cheating. You only had a half.
Arc.
They know who they are. In today's day and age, do bands have to have social media to get along? Like,
Yes.
Can they make it without it? Is there a
Well,
way? Can you? Can anyone?
I don't know, because I have social media, and I mean,
Because you have to, right?
Everyone says you have to. I don't know how else to get your shit in front of people anymore. Nobody really goes to shows anymore. I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't go to shows anymore. It's not even that they don't go to shows. There's a lot of good bands. There's a lot of good shows, and obviously people can't get to every single one of them. So it's crazy. But because I'm thinking of some bands that are larger and don't necessarily have what I would call a massive social media presence. So, I mean, maybe. I don't know. What the fuck do I know? I'm a musician. I'm not even a musician.
I don't know anything. I can tell you that right now. That's why I'm asking you the questions. I'm just here to learn.
Oh, you're getting a raw deal, bud.
If you were only remembered for one thing, would you want it to be Orion's sword?
That's not the worst thing to be remembered for, but I think ultimately I'd like to be remembered as a good dad.
Wow, you're going to make me cry. What is forever?
A very large concept.
I'm Paul Goon. He is Orion's sword. That was 13 minutes.